Hey guys, this is Jeff from Jeff's Vegetable Gardening in Containers, and any kind of garden there is in landscaping, but really mainly about my vegetable plants. So I wanted to go over a few things with you today as far as the phases of gardening, being prepared, and if you kind of get into it like I do, it's pretty fun, but year round. Keeps your mind occupied, gets your stress off you from jobs and all that stuff that you go through in life. So that's why I took it up, and it's helped me a lot. But I'll be either posting the video of my garden over to my left of you, right of me, um, which is all ready to go. But I had to take, if you look in there, like 30 containers, 40 containers, and put them in the greenhouse because I had it all set up, all ready to go. Only thing I had left to do in there is more to plant if I want to plant, but I had to get my little sprinkler system set up in there. It's not sprinkler, drips and hoses and timers, and I have it all set up that way. And since it gets so cold here in the winter, I drag all the hoses up. I keep them above ground and wrap everything up. Then I got to put it back out and get it all set up so it's all on a timer for keeping everything the way I need to do it. And then it kind of makes it not maintenance free, trust me, but it makes it from me having to drag the hose back here like I have for years and years and years. Always had some type of timers, but last year I went to a mostly all-timered garden. The drip hose I had kind of went, trying to start, it kind of started rotting out because I had it for years. So I'm going to get some fresh drip hose to run over to like 30 containers of potatoes and some of the peppers and different stuff. But that'll be off one timer. Then I'll have the zucchinis and melons off another, tomatoes off one, peppers off the other, and then the corn and onions off another one. Cucumbers and beans, it'll all mix all in there. What I'm going to do was go over with the 5 phases if you ever really get into gardening and you want to try to save some of your stuff you've done and overwintered. If you want to have a warm greenhouse, which is this one to my right here, the left one is just for overwintering. The plants sit in there, they get hardened off like they are now. They look kind of dead brown, hard as a rock, but you don't fertilize those. You don't even give them any moisture. You just sit them in there and just let them harden off. And you don't want them to grow. You want them to die off over the summer. Not die off, but just stay in a stagnant kind of thing. And then we're going to go through that today about getting those ready for the garden. And then the other one's not a hothouse, but a warm gardening thing. I only keep that, depends on the time of the year, but most of the time I keep it like 45 or 50. A little electric heater with a fan there and a thermostat in there. And it's just enough to take the chill off. You always crack. I got the 6 windows on the side of each, 3 on each side, 6 altogether windows on that greenhouse. 4 of them I keep completely shut when it's real cold, and then I'll just crack one just a hair on one side, and then the opposite corner I'll cook the other one just so it has a little bit of airflow going through there. Because if you shut that greenhouse down altogether, even in cold weather and 45, 50 degrees, and you're not getting any fresh air in there and everything, between the CO2 and all that stuff, it just kills things off and kills off your plants and just makes things terrible. And anything that really stinks about those greenhouses is I've had twice now, and I think it's 3 years that I've done this with the two of them for 2 years, but that I've went over to kind of a warm house with, even the one over there before, was like if you go away, like this year we went to Aruba, and the year before we had a party here, and sometimes you go away and there's bad weather, it shuts the power off, and you come back, you're like, well, everything's screwed. And then there's times you've been here 2 years ago, and it got down to, I forget what those days were, it was like -5 wind chill, and then we had down to 10 degrees, 17 at night, 12, all that kind of stuff. And, people are, it's Christmas, and kids are all around everybody, and someone went out to my greenhouse and shut the power off, and, it only takes one night. And I was busy getting the house ready and having people over the house, and I just happened to come out 2 days later, so I was just going to check out how the greenhouse was going, and phew, it's middle of winter, but it stinks. It was just terrible. Everything was just dead and just completely a mess. So that's just part of it. But I kind of go off a 5-phase plan, so it goes every year. So after you're done your summer garden, you clean up, and whatever you can overwinter, which are typically eggplant, peppers, and tomatoes, which are here. I had probably another 10 buckets, but they didn't look too good to me, so I was only going to use so many. And I've already planted so many already. But of these 17 I got here, the roots are still in the ground. Everything still looks pretty good, so we're going to go over that. But first phase is getting all your overwintering stuff. Pick out of your garden what you're going to use, not going to use. Then you got to get your soil in your compost piles and mix it all in. Let it sit there all winter with trees and limbs and any vegetable scraps you got all winter, and it just becomes a great soil for you to use next year. And I've always gotten new soil and done all that because I didn't want to put a compost in. I didn't want to do all that. But last year I put one in. I was able to use quite a bit of that soil. So, and I got a ton for next year. So I'm in good shape. In fact, that one compost over there is growing potatoes out of it already. So your first phase is getting your overwintering stuff, getting your garden cleaned up, anything, timers, hoses, everything out. And then you're pretty good. And that takes probably a good month over time by the time things are dying off and you don't want to kill them right away or, because there's stuff still growing on them. So it probably takes about a month to get out of that cycle. Get all your containers loaded up and out of the way. And then you want to come back and that's typically around end of October, early November that you're done that. And then I come back in December and early January into my greenhouse. My right-hand greenhouse, have my little heater set up in there. And then what I normally grow in there during the winter is I'll grow potatoes, onions, and garlic, stuff like that. I can grow that because your garlic's a 9-month season. This year I got way behind because it got ruined. My onions did real good in there, and potatoes I got some out of there, but not like I was used to. But I had such a large amount of sweet potatoes and potatoes last year that I grew that I didn't have the urgency I normally felt for potatoes as much in my winter season because I just had so many left to cook and get done with. So phase one's overwintering, getting your garden cleaned up. Phase two is getting anything you're going to save, and you're going to grow in your hothouse for the winter. Phase three would be once you get past that point, you hit like mid-March to mid-April. That's when I go start doing all my seedlings inside. Everything I want to grow, except for melons, watermelons, corn, and real hot stuff that doesn't grow in any kind of weather. I get them all started in there, then I get them all planted. It takes about 3 weeks to a month that are mature enough, and then you get them out of here and get used to the wind and the air and everything. And, once you're done that to a point, then I get them all planted in their buckets, get them ready to go. And like this year, I read the extended forecast. I put everything in finally and complete last weekend, videoed it, and said, okay, here's where I'm at. I mean, I'm going to put a lot more in. That's just me. But I was like, I'm in good shape. Everything's ready to go. And looked at the extended weather, and the extended weather said, not a chance of any weather under 47 degrees, 45 to 47 for the remainder of the year, told you. Like, they know or something. And I was like, okay. So I went to the extended weather thing. So I got them all out, tied in place, all hooked up out in my bigger garden for about 4 or 5 days. And then one night I said, man, it feels a little cool out. And it got down to like 42 to 39 during the night. I was like, I'm going to lose some of that stuff. Well, now they're calling this week for 4 out of the 5 weekdays to be 37 to 35 or lower. So then I had to get everything undone and then get all roughly 40 containers I was going to bring in, which are warm weather vegetables like peppers, tomatoes, zucchini, squash, anything like that. I had to get them all back in this warm tunnel here, get the heater set up, and I carried them all in yesterday and got them all set up. So that part of that phase three, getting everything planted from your seedlings to planting in the pots and everything, that's phase three. Phase four for me is knowing that we're past all that cold weather and being able to put everything back out in the garden, not think about it anymore, setting up your irrigation and drip systems, and these overwintering pots you see right there is getting them prepared, and they can sit out now. It doesn't bother me, and get them all set up and ready to go so we're ready for the summer season to see them grow back. And the fifth phase really is, it's the only phase there really is after that, except for watering and trimming and carrying back, is the fifth phase is like watermelon, melons, cantaloupe, things like that. They can't go in until like mid-June normally, and they got to be, and they love hot weather. They don't like cold weather. They like hot weather only, and they like kind of growing by themselves. So you got to kind of get them isolated because they're like spaghetti squash. They just take everything over in the garden, and you start hiding other stuff. So that's kind of the phases I go through, and then after that, it's just pruning, keeping the weeds out as best you can, and just harvesting until you get to the end of the next season. It just starts all over again. And this year we'll be doing, coming this fall and winter, we'll be doing more from Florida this year. We'll be down there a little bit more, so I'm going to be doing some vegetable gardening down there, plus all my fruits and bushes I have I'm going to be doing down there. I did plan got to get my lemon tree from inside out here. I'm going to take that to Florida altogether, but I got to get it in and out. It's got, like I said, like 15 lemons on it. And they're just about getting yellow. They're like in between that lime, green, and yellow. Leaves are all off it. Lemon trees just don't like the inside of the house. They just never have. But they lose their leaves and look kind of crappy. And then I get them back outside, fertilize them, and get them in the warm weather, and they grow. They come right back almost every year, real nice. So I'll get that out, but I won't get that out till middle of May because it's too heavy what I got it in, and some of the other things we got inside to grow good in warm weather we keep in during the winter. I have to get out here. Also, they grow in the warmer weather better. But the dogwood I put in, and then I put in another apple tree in a container up there. I put in the peach tree I grew from nothing last year in the ground. And I bought another peach tree there because they like to be able to pollinate off each other, and you don't want them to be the same type of pollinator. From what I'm being told, you want them to be an individual pollinator, a different type. So if you're putting in one type of apple, the other tree won't be a little different. And as long as they're within, I think it's 100 to 150 yards each other, which these are easily in, they're within 50 of each other. That allows the bees and insects to go in between them and fertilize them, get them growing. And my only concern was I've had peach trees before that individually put in, they grow good for a year or two, and then they would just phase out. And then I had an apple tree that was producing crazy out front. And last year it produced zero. So I trimmed that way back, and I got another apple tree that I'm going to put on the side here and try to work with that one to get it back and forth and producing. But that's kind of it. What I really did this for is I just wanted to show you from the last video, I did have to move everything there for the cold weather. And then I want to go over this overwintering. So what I've done so far today with this stuff is I got them all, of course, out of the greenhouse for overwintering, cleaned them up a little bit, got rid of any like loose weeds or anything that might have been in them, because they'll start growing in the pots. Weeds grow everywhere, you know that. And but I got them all really watered down real heavy because they've had no water for, like I said, 6 months now, 5 months, 6 months. So the next maneuver I have to do is we got blood and bone meal here. So what we want to do is on each one of these, we want to get a little blood and bone meal on each one of these things, okay? Because that's the only nutrition they're going to have, or they're going, for now. They've had since I shut them down more or less and trimmed them back at the end of gardening season in late October, early November of last year. Some just blood meal on the top of these things, okay? Giving them a good healthy shot. Like I said, there's 16 of them here all together. And like I said, these are eggplant, pepper, and tomatoes. Eggplant, pepper, and tomatoes, you can overwinter them unless they're diseased or something wrong with them. Well, let me check this camera. I feel like this camera fell down some. I could be wrong, but still looks all right. All right, so in theory and in the way they talk about it, eggplant, peppers, and tomatoes can be overwintered 3 years in a row, and they should come back. Last year was the first year I really overwintered everything. So now we put it in the blood meal. Now we're giving a little bone meal to each one, right? Blood meals for greening them up. The bone meal's got so much calcium in it that it allows them roots and stems and everything you got in there and to grow back up and form themselves some good strength again. So getting the bone meal here. But those, like I was saying before, those three things, eggplant, pepper, and tomatoes, same plant will overwinter for 3 years. I've only done it 1 or 2 years with a couple of them. Last year I did quite a few, but they all did. Well, when I say all did, that's a lie. When I say it, let's say, just so I'm not wrong, I would say 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 came back and produced, especially the peppers. So we got to that point. We got blood meal, bone meal in each one. We're also going to straw them up, but I'm going to leave them right out here. I'm not going to put them back in the greenhouse because here we have cold nights, but they've already been sitting out in the cold for months. It's not going to hurt them. Like I said, watered already. Got the bone meal, blood meal. Then we're going to take some dirt. Like I said, I left some left over from the gardening the other day when I had left over from planting a ton of stuff, and just want to refresh and give it. And this is my typical manure, whatever you want to call it, potting soil, and peat moss, right? That I put in this stuff whenever I plant. And it's just a good mixture I had left over when I was cleaning the plastic up off the ground. And so now you're giving it a shot of the good nutrition all the way around on everything. Give it a good head start to get ready here again. And we'll probably have to top them off maybe once more. We'll see. Just depends on how they go now. The difference is when you're dealing with these things that are overwintered is the ones I had looked kind of crappy for a while because they look like this, and you got to get them, like I said, regenerated again and moving. But they kind of look terrible. I was like, I don't think they're going to come back. They're going to come up with this crazy stuff, but I don't think it's going to work. So, but they did. They eventually came back, and then next thing you know, it's got a bunch of green leaves, and a little bit later from that, you look on there, you're like, holy crap, I do got peppers and stuff. So it does happen. I can tell you that only from experience. The experience of believing and not believing at times what you're told about what can happen with things. But they do come back. Now, if something you're planting already has a disease in it or isn't doing too good, I can't say that's going to go back. But if it didn't have any problems before you overwintered it and sat it somewhere where you kept it docile but not for doing anything, you got pretty good success rate you're going to have with these coming back. And that's, like I said, it's only from experience. And the only problem is going to be now with my dog and the dog next door. When you put this bone meal out, they go anywhere near their noses. They go kind of nuts over this stuff. So it's going to smooth that all out. Some bigger sticks. So listen, we got our good fertilizers down in here now. On top, we got our manure mix down there. So we're just refreshing everything. The ground's already wet underneath, so everything we have on top here now, as the rain hits it and as we water it, it's going to go right down on top here and feed these vegetable plants as time goes on. And if you're like, well, how do you know which one's good and which one's good, which one's bad, which one's going to last, which one's not? As far as I'm concerned, there's no mystery or magic about that. Some do, some don't, but majority do come back. But I had ones that I thought were going to come back that I didn't come back, and I was kind of amazed by it. But excuse me, sometimes you do have to go through that. So we got our fertilizers down. We've already watered the pots once. So now we want to straw these puppies up, and I absolutely love this type of straw because the bigger straw is a real pain in the ass when you're trying to fit it in pots sometimes, and it just gets in the way of everything. This small stuff just seems to do the trick pretty nice. But sometimes you got to get I still have a bale of big stuff back there that I had from last year. And sometimes you got to use just anything anybody's got. It's like this good stuff is only, small good stuff is only good in the beginning of the year typically, right? So you're kind of at a choice sometimes with what and how you can do everything, right? So almost there, almost there. And what we're going to do here is finish these up here real quick, right? Get them all strawed up and fertilized, and we're going to give them one more good dose of water. Most of that first wood you got, even though you got them soaked, there's a runoff because that soil really doesn't want to, it's been sitting there for so long, really doesn't want to absorb too much. So we'll see. I think we're pretty good there. Woo. A little heavy on some of them, but we'll be all right. This way to get the, oh boy. Whoa, that sun gun's leaking right there. Gotta get me another gasket in there. So we're good that way, and we just want to get this straw and top layer of dirt and the fertilizers just soaked in there a little bit. I think if the weather actually stays the same, which I don't know, these guys, I think these guys go to school for meteorology. All the satellites and stuff they have nowadays. I know weather's unpredictable, but they do seem to mess up an awful lot. As a traveler and as a gardener, and somebody worked outside pretty much their whole career except for the last couple of 10 years or so, 15 years, because I was always out in the field with mechanical tools and everything, on roofs and all that good stuff, and just loved it, mechanical rooms. You kind of, when somebody says, oh man, it is supposed to rain like crazy today, or oh, we're going to get 12 inches of snow, or you know what I mean, it's going to be sunny and beautiful all weekend, and you get up on a Friday night, you're coming home, looks all cloudy. Saturday morning, you get up, it rains. Sunday, it rains all day. You got a party or something you got planned, or you're going somewhere, completely ruins everything, you know. And then they tell you it's supposed to be great all week. Everybody, what a fantastic week. They say it on the radio, TV, and then you get up Saturday morning, like, oh, this front came through out of nowhere that they didn't know about, and now it's going to rain all weekend, and everything's screwed. So I guess my point is it's Mother Nature. And I think for as much as they're paid and whatever meteorologists get paid, which I'm sure is pretty good, and being on TV and all that great stuff, and just national weather sure doesn't matter. Like hurricanes we've been in and different stuff where how they're going to be and where they're going to hit and what they're going to do, and they're 100% sure, and they're so far off it ain't funny. Misses the whole area. So I know it's weather, but with everything they got, you know, it's just when they give you those, you know, percentages like, oh, there's an 80-90% chance of 160-mile-an-hour winds and this and this and this and that, until it's right on top. Now all of a sudden they're changing it. Now it's, you know, now it's right. They just have no idea. They're what I call full of crap. They're just making some news. All right, guys, I've done enough complaining and bitching. So there already, I'm just going to leave these out and let them go. I got to close that back up so it stays warm in there. That's pretty good. So it's kind of over a winter, and like I said, my 5 steps of going through gardening. I'm going to let you guys go. I got to get this thing torn apart and get the shed up. I still got 45, 50 bags of mulch I got to get spread around everywhere. So try to get it done before next weekend, and things like that, because the following week I got to go in for surgery. And when I go in for surgery, they said I can't lift nothing more than 20 pounds for like 4 to 6 weeks. So that really sucks. I'm always lifting and doing things. So I'm going to see how it works out. Normally, I'm not a very good person when following doctor's orders. All right, guys. Yeah, rest of your weekend real good. Don't forget to go out and see us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, X, and there's somewhere else I can't remember. We're out there and everything. Hey guys, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.